I like Steam. It's pretty cool.
Shit.
And while it's often been used by millions of people to interact with random basement dwellers, and used to purchase overpriced, obscure, or shitty video games that nobody plays, it has also become a kind of breeding ground for many of the most interesting kinds of people on this little fucking planet of ours. You know, the more I think about it, roaming this place is a bit like high school. They've got stoners, furries, edgelords, wannabe edgelords, autistic people, weeaboos, meme lords, tech kids, fascists, gender studies students, the clinically depressed, people who unironically use Twitter, and people I ran over with my Mercedes-Benz 230E during May Day. It's not really a conspiracy to anyone with a functioning brain that friendships can be built from here, whether it be out of love for a game, or a fun time on a server, or some other shit no one wants to hear about. And some friendships do not last out of conflict or differences, and that's absolutely normal. But then you'll come across some real stinkers. Those who don't really see much in the friends that they have made, so when trouble comes afoot, they will throw away their friends on a whim on the basis that you didn't fit their standards. Even to go as far as to scapegoating others, bossing people around on what they should like, on what they should do, and dumping problems onto other people who weren't even involved. Matturi is a fellow Gmodder and 3D model maker, often specializing in just about anything you can name, from anime, source games, obscure PS1 games, furries, your fucking grandmother. He's a rather indecisive fellow. This dude was known for his fantastic lighting, stellar Gmod artwork, and being featured in a Steam encyclopedia that nobody reads. When I first met him around 3 years ago, he and I very much became the best of friends, and we just talked about everything we could think of. During that, he had mentioned of having some serious trust issues due to his past friends backstabbing him and using him for his free Neptunia models. I'm not even kidding. Because of this, he gained this kind of paranoia, fearing that people would convince others to unfriend him and betray him because he is an excellent artist, an excellent 3D model maker. At the time, I was a very loyal motherfucker whenever he had to deal with trouble, because back then, I didn't have friends. He was one of the few people that I could call a best friend, and he was generally fun to hang around with. But he can be a rather conflicting guy at times, and by conflicting, I mean fucking infuriating. As I started to learn, loyalty can only get you so far. One day, Maturi had succumbed to depression, and decided to throw on a Shakespearean tragedy to tell me why the world sucks. Like I'm watching Hamlet or something. He threatened to unfriend everyone he had ever known, and even considered on deleting his Discord and Steam. Back in 2016 or 2017, he was falsely accused of being a pedophile. And because the Gmod community has as much intelligence as the average Michael Knowles watcher, they took that shit for granted and ran with it, spreading gossip throughout the whole community, and didn't even give him a chance to share his side of the story. And in all honesty, that's pretty fucking retarded.
I'm tired of it all! I'm tired! I'm fucking tired of all of it!
I do genuinely feel sorry for him, and I'm the prime definition of a moody cunt, because people like those are the fucking worst. Lousy fucks like those don't even deserve the oxygen that we very much breathe. Hey protesters, you want to stand up to your abortion rights? You just remind everyone that these fuckers exist. During this whole endeavor, I was trying to calm down the giant man-child, hoping I could still remain friends with him, because I have nothing better to do. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, and chapter 1 of our friendship has ended rather sour. At least for a few days. After eventually burning up all his energy from screeching like a banshee and spewing puddles all over the place, he friended me back, and all was fine. Okay, what fuckery is this? A couple months pass, and take a guess at what happens next. Funny thing is, I'm not the only one dealing with this fucking circus. Other people have been seeing the same Greek tragedy happen over and over again with no change, no improvement whatsoever. Probably the only thing that has changed was what clothes he was wearing that day. Here's how this sort of thing would go. Matturi sees something that offends him, he becomes depressed and moody. He unfriends everyone and everything. He then dumps his own censorship and standards on the remaining people to indoctrinate them. He eventually stops whining like a little bitch, and then he asks everyone to add him back, or then he adds him back himself. Cycle goes on for a good few times, and cue the copious amounts of Stockholm Syndrome. Some of his ego and arrogance does get in the way of him actually acknowledging the fact that some people aren't really fucking good at some things. Do any of you remember Driver, that PS1 car game where you rage quitted after failing the tutorial countless times?
I have never played a game that literally fucked you over this much right from the start. Even after beating this level, sometimes I still can't do it. That's right. I practice a bunch of times and sometimes I still fail. So even practice doesn't help. I'll be blunt, folks. This is the worst tutorial I've ever played. Fuck this game!
Well, old Matturi over here boasts that he can do that segment no problem. And you know what? I'll give him credit for it. He can do it first go. But when other people are struggling with it, it will become his sworn duty to make sure that you know he has done it first try, numerous times, and that it's not that hard. Oh, what's that? You missed the fucking handbrake? Oh, well, I've done it before. It's not that hard. Good for you. I'm just having a lot of trouble with this one. I'm just not that good at it. Oh, well, it's not that hard to do. Just look at me. I did it. Yeah, I know. I'm just struggling with this one. Well, I did it. I know you did. You don't need to fucking repeat it. I know you're good at it. Please stop saying that. Of course, telling him to stop results in him becoming one of those whiny bitches that you find in retail. Why can I have this one? Why is it that people like you have to stop me from enjoying this? Can I just have this one victory and fucking enjoy it? Jesus fucking titty Christ, we fucking get it. You're good at a PS1 game no one gives a shit about. Congratulations. What do you want, a fucking hand stamp? As you can tell, he's not really the most emotionally stable. A lot of shit does get under this guy's skin. But his biggest kind of kryptonite is porn. Even to this day, he still complains about anime tits appearing in his activity box, requesting everyone to stop liking it for the sake of not offending their almighty god. Like he's the center of the fucking universe. Let's face it, he couldn't be more off-center if he tried. But if we are really talking about specifics, he really despises bestiality, futa, literal insect fucking. I mean, with some of these, I do genuinely feel sick looking at them, and I get why he doesn't like it. But I'm not gonna dictate what someone likes or doesn't like. I mean, if you want to jizz to that, go ahead. But keep that shit to yourself, man. But most importantly, it's lolly porn is what bites him the most. And anyone caught with such contraband is kicked out of his inner circle with no chance for a debate. Now, while I do actually agree with him on this one, he does take interest in furries on occasion, a fandom that has unfortunately been typecast for absolute smut and degeneracy. Now, I'm not fucking retarded. I know it doesn't apply to all furries out there, but there are loads of sexual shit in that neck of the woods. So he's just a fucking hypocrite. A good while back, he got onto a NSFW Discord server and started to scapegoat one of the moderators and accused them of posting lolly porn. Keep in mind, this is a server ran by somebody that he doesn't like. He's in a not safe for work server ran by a former friend who he has bad blood with, so why he's there in the first place is already a mystery that only very few can answer. Ironically, he's acting more like a Discord moderator than the moderators themselves. Probably hasn't even finished a sentence without spitting on his filthy keyboard. Constantly complaining how there's not safe for work art in a not safe for work server. What the fuck? How retarded are you? It's like he went to a Burger King and complained that they serve fucking burgers there. Worst came to worst, and like anyone who would do anything just to seem prevalent and righteous, he accused the moderator of posting underage anime girls and tried to rouse up an angry little mob to get them banned. I have taken the time to ask the admin of the server if the characters in the pics are 18+, and it has been confirmed. It's even illegal to have lolly stuff on that server. What that means for the server, I will never know. I've never seen the picture, I never saw it take place, so take it with a grain of salt. But it just shows he didn't even take time to think. He just succumbs to being a social justice warrior, harassing, screeching, oinking like a pig, trying to waddle around the fucking house, eventually raising his white flag, and he left the server. But you can imagine the aftermath. Instead of not being on that server in the first place or taking some time away from the computer, he again resorts to throwing his friends away like Funko Pops, only seeking those who are on his side of the playing field. And if you disagree with him or confront him in any way, there is very little room for compromise. I ask him, why don't you leave the server if you fucking hate it? Well, that's what they want me to do. If I leave, I just appeal to them cause they make fun of me. They use me and it's all part of the plan. Why do you care if you don't like them? Just fucking leave. They're not my friend anymore because they don't like me because they think I'm pedophile. Well, fuck him for being such fucking retards. Why do you care this much about people that don't fucking think? It's part of the plan. Jesus H fucking Christ. And it didn't end there. Even people associated with Matturi were given so much shit just for being friends with him. And none of them had any idea what the fuck they were saying because probably they weren't even fucking involved in this fucking mess. And they got mad at him for causing all this unwanted drama. Naturally, Matturi thinks they're against him for disagreeing with his actions and beliefs and unfriends them. Not even an apology owed to A1. He's so fucking broke he can't afford to be sorry. The worst thing is, it doesn't matter if you've been friends with this particular specimen for 1 year or 5 years. If you were associated with his enemies in any way possible, he just unfriend you in a snap. No room for argument there. Doesn't matter if you spoke to the motherfucker in the first place, guilty by association is very much part of his mantra. And here's the irony of this whole tale. And that's the theory that he may or may not have convinced others to unfriend others. The very thing he had feared, now used on his own friends. Ex-friends. Now, frankly, I don't care if people unfriend me or leave me, that's really their choice. But there have been so many opportunities for them to leave me in the past. Why all of a sudden was it so recent to the drama? It's stupid conspiracy shit, and honestly I forgot about it. But just recently, it has been discovered that Matturi had been using his alternative account for spying on people. His mannerisms, the emojis he uses in his conversations, and a single image on his account confirms this. It is his artwork. Whether he added me back to befriend him once again or to win back the popularity of a community is up for debate. But the fact that he could have been spying on me is a pretty sad feat to hide under. But all of this makes for a great example how Matturi, falling victim to his own bias and emotional problems, has decided to let it dictate how he should treat others, friend or otherwise. Despite wanting to fix the issue or to even move on, he always ends up back at square one. At this point, all I want to do is just to move on from it and focus on other things. This video is primarily for shits and giggles, so all I can do is wish him the best. So Matturi, if you're watching this, thank you for the gifts, thank you for the fun moments, and thanks for the memories. But most importantly, fuck you too, you fucking skank!